Shit. Okay.
Oh wait, you have the option to record? You can do that
Oh,
with Zoom? Wow.
It's recording now.
yeah.
Well, let me get my notebook out.
Wait, can you record?
Yeah, it's recording now.
Okay. Okay.
I'll throw it into YouTube and send y'all the link afterward.
What happened?
I'll upload it to YouTube and send y'all the link afterward.
Okay. Wait, you have a YouTube channel?
I have one for I have a personal one, but I have one for my that I use to teach my online classes.
Wait, what? Wait, you used to teach online classes?
Yeah, I teach online classes now, and when I make a video for class, I use Zoom and then I upload the link to YouTube, and then I send them the link.
Wait, what class?
English, college English.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wait, Corey's about to join.
Wait, which? Oh, Corey, got you.
There's another Corey.
Yeah. It's CORRIYIE.
Yeah, CORRIE.
Okay, there we go.
Oh snap!
And then so basically,
when they told me about Corey, every time they said his name, I kept like responding to it. I'm like, oh, not me. Gotcha.
Corey, you gotta mute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah, Corey, you gotta mute yourself.
It's a haunted like hotel.
What's up?
That's what the wicked people go to.
All right, so we got Corey, Sori, and Corey.
Yeah, and there's supposed to be another person, but I don't know if he's awake. But he's paintballing right now.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right, we can start.
Say I didn't warn you. The devil sneak up on you, but you go. You die.
Ready for
That was the
primary
people
question?
gets.
All right, so if you're muted, when I ask a question, you can type it in or just unmute yourself. But today we're going to talk about flipping houses and more specifically wholesaling houses. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so the basic process I'll go over with you. But I'll tell you, like, the thing that keeps most people from doing this isn't like the steps, because it's simple, but it's not easy. Like, the steps are simple, but getting yourself to actually go out there and do it is not easy. The people who actually get out there and start doing stuff, they're the people who start making money with it. No matter how many times I've been through a seminar or linked up with somebody to do this, they leave out a step that I always add in, and it does help to get over the anxiety of flipping a house. So I'll let you know what step that is once we get to it. So I sent Corey has like a beta version of a course that my best friend did, and he can share it with y'all, but I promise not to share it with anybody else. So I'm just gonna keep my promise. But Corey can send it out to y'all. If you ever come across my best friend Stephen Washington, don't tell him I sent it to you. All right, don't tell him I gave it to you. So when it comes to wholesaling houses, it's a way to flip houses without owning the property yourself. You own it through contracts. It's perfectly legal. This is the way that business has been done since contracts were invented by the Europeans. Um, but the difference between what a wholesaler does and what a agent does is that an agent is bound by um, certain laws and ethics and stuff because they're representing someone else. Um, as a wholesaler, you're not really representing anyone else. You have the property and you want to get rid of, you want to sell it to somebody else. The way that it works is you go out, and I'll get into detail about it. You go out, you find the property at a deep discount, and you get the owner, find the owner somehow. You get them to agree to sell you the property for a really deep discounted price. You got that contract. And then you go out and you find a buyer. You get the buyer to agree to buy the property at a price that's higher than you got the seller to sell it for. You get that contract. You take both of those contracts, you go to your real estate attorney, give it to them. They'll set up what's called a double closing. The double closing, in theory, it works like this. Let's say that you went out and you got the deep discount for $10,000. You're going to buy this house for $10,000. It's a lot wrong with it. A roof could be caved in. It could have been a fire, whatever. Let's just say you got it for $10,000. You got this investor who agrees to buy it for $20,000. They know exactly what to do. They know they can sell the house for $70,000 once they're done fixing it up. So this contract says you're buying it for 10. This contract says you're selling it for 20. Give them to the real estate attorney. The double closing goes like, theoretically, it goes like this. The closing attorney, which is the real estate attorney, he'll call in the investor who's buying the house, who's buying it for $20,000. He'll get the money from the closing attorney, from the investor. So he had the attorney now has $20,000 in his escrow account, just waiting. Then he'll call in the original seller, sold it to you for $10,000. The closing attorney will take $10,000 from that $20,000 that's in the escrow account, give it to the original seller, and $10,000 is left over. You get that $10,000. So you get the difference between what you bought the house for on contract and what you sold the house for on contract. And in essence, none of your money is in that deal, is in that pot until the deal closes, and then you get what's remaining. A wholesaler is a middleman. If anyone asks you that, like while you're doing a deal, if they seem skeptical and they just say you're a middleman, you can say yeah, but I never did. I just said that I'm part of the acquisitions team. I acquire properties for the company, and yeah, the company buys them. Yeah, acquisitions. That's what I do.
All right.
Any questions before I get into detail? No questions? All right. So the main part, any real estate guru that you listen to, they're going to say that the main thing is getting the deal. How do you get the deal? You need to find motivated sellers. These are people who have property, they're in control of it, but for whatever reason, they either need to get rid of it, they need to raise money for something, or they're just tired of being a landlord. And they're ready to cash in. The best way to know that you have a motivated seller is when that person calls you to sell their property. You can go out and find find properties and then find the owner and then, make an offer to the owner or try to convince the owner to sell. That takes a little bit more time. You have to do some convincing usually. They usually have their own plan, but it works sometimes. But the best way to do it is to have them call you, because if they call you, they're already motivated. The easiest way and the most effective way, the most time efficient and the most money efficient way to get people to call you is to use those "We Buy Houses" signs. When I started, my signs were very basic. It was just "We Buy Houses" and my phone number. You can make it fancy if you want, or not. The most important thing is that people can see your phone number, and yeah, make it as memorable as a phone number as you can, whether you're using like Google Phone or some other phone service. And if y'all start, I have a phone service, and I have 2 more phone numbers that I can use. So if y'all start, then let me know, and I'll let y'all use one of those phone numbers. So you have your signs out. We buy houses. As soon as you put them out, people are going to start calling you. The people who are going to call you are going to have motivated sellers. You're going to have other investors. And every once in a while, you're going to have people who want you to take the signs down. And sometimes somebody from the government will call you. Just want you to be prepared for this. If the government calls you, they're calling you to take the signs down because they are in or on government fixtures or property. They'll give you a time limit to take it down. So what some people do is they will put up signs on Friday evenings or Friday nights. I would always put up signs overnight on, if I'm scared of the government trying to come and take my signs or find me, I'll put them up on Friday night, like overnight. And I do it overnight because there's not a lot of cars on the street. And it was just me. So I would hop out my car, go hammer a sign into the grass, or post it up on a telephone pole, and hop back in my car and go to the next spot. And it definitely works better when there's not a lot of cars on the street. If you have more than one person, it's a whole lot easier, because then somebody could be the driver, somebody could be the rent out person. So yeah, if the government calls, they want you to take it down. If a private citizen calls, it's likely because you put it on one of their trees or something like that. If another investor calls, they're probably looking to sell you a house. But they're probably looking to wholesale a house. It's probably not that wholesaler. They're trying to unload a house. And the number one person who's going to call is a motivated seller. And that's who you want to take the calls from. And you'll come up with your own script, but usually when you answer the phone, it goes something like, you'll answer the phone and say, "We buy houses. This is Corey speaking." And they'll say, "Hi, I have a house I'm willing to sell." If they don't say that, then you just say, you just get to that point. "Hi, Mr. Smith, do you have a house that you're willing to sell?" And they'll say, "Yeah." And then at that point, all you say is, "Can you tell me a little bit about the house?" In this business, people are vulnerable. They feel vulnerable. because they have this problem that they have to unload. Your job in the beginning is just to get them to talk, just get them to tell their story. Um, and the more they talk, the more comfortable you get them to feel, the more likely it is that you're going to get the deal. I've had several deals that just because I'm listening and letting them tell their story, and while they're telling their story, I'm taking notes, like objective notes on the house. And if they say something like important, like they need the money for a surgery or something like that, then I'm writing that down, just so I know when to be sympathetic, or um, just so I don't say the wrong thing when we're together. Um, um, and letting them tell their story, it makes them block out anybody else who's trying to get that deal. I had this old lady, and I was buying her house to flip, and there was a pastor who undercut me. He tried to go behind my back and like take the house from her and like do a different deal. Um, but she wouldn't let him, and it's just because me and her had conversations, not even about the house. I just let her tell her story, and I chimed in every once in a while. Um, but she just felt more comfortable with me, so she wasn't going to do a deal with anybody else, even if he was a pastor. So things like that matter. um, you let them tell their story, write down information, find out what needs to be done with the house. The way you do that is you'll say something like, are there any obvious repairs that need to be done to the house? Any obvious repairs? Most of these people aren't investors. They don't know what like the small repairs are that need to be done. But if there's anything obvious, they'll let you know. And you can take those notes. You want to ask about mortgages and back taxes, mortgages and taxes. But the way that you ask that is you start with the worst thing first. And then you get down to the stuff that you really want to know. So you might ask, are there, we'll start with taxes. You might ask, are there any back taxes due on this house? And taxes are due on every house, but back taxes are like the bad no thing. So most of the time they'll be like, oh, no back taxes are due. I pay the taxes on this house regularly. And then you ask the simple question that you really want to know. So like, what are the regular taxes like on this house? And then they'll tell you. And all this just gives you an idea of how much like extra money you'll have to pay besides the purchase price, or how much might come out of your cut once the closing attorney does all the math. And then you'll ask, are there any, you might come up with a mortgage term. You might say, are there any upside down mortgages? And they might be like, oh, no upside down mortgages. And then you might say, is there a second mortgage? Is there a second or third mortgage on the house? And they'll tell you. But most of the time they'll just be like, no, there's only one mortgage. Or they'll say it's free and clear. It's told like there are no mortgages on the house. If there are no mortgages on the house, then that's a great point for you, because it's less to worry about. Nothing else has to be paid off. So write down all that information, and then you have to figure out if the numbers make sense. The way you do that is you want the amount that you can sell the house. You want the amount that the you want the amount that you buy the house for plus all of the repairs to be at the most 70% of what it can be sold for. And there's a site that one of my mentors developed. I'll put it in the chat. It's called dealulator.com. It's a deal calculator. Yeah, and you'll see the equation and everything at the bottom of that. And it's the same equation that every investor uses. So at some point, it'll just be a part of your investor brain. If the house can be sold for $100,000, then the investment, the highest that any investor would want to put into it is 70% of that, so $70,000. So what you can sell it to an investor for is 70,000 minus the repair cost. So if the repairs cost 20,000, the most that you can sell it for is 50,000. But just like in the stock market, you don't want to be too greedy. When you're wholesaling, you want to get rid of it. So if you get a house for 10,000, and you know that it's $20,000 in repairs needed, that puts you at 30. Then you can play with that that gap between 30 and 50 to see what you want to, how much profit you want. But just know that you do want to get rid of these things as soon as possible. All right, so you have all the information from the seller. You know how much repairs are needed, and the repair cost thing. It's just something that you kind of figure out in your mind. Yeah, I have an Excel sheet that I can share with you, and depending on what they say is needed for the house, I just go in there and I put, 2 windows are broken, and it'll just calculate how much that would be. But I have a mentor too who just says, like there's a base number, there's a base amount, like $10,000, and then if the roof is messed up, then you just add 10,000 more to that. If it needs a HVAC unit, then you just add 5,000 to that. But yeah, you'll figure those things out as you go. A lot of this is just doing it and then figuring it out and then adding it to your knowledge bank. But you don't figure it out until you start doing it. Also, something else to know when you're talking to these motivated sellers is that you're the expert. So you already know more than they know just because you know about wholesaling. If they knew about it, then they would have put out some signs themselves to sell their house. And the signs go both ways. You could put out one to buy houses, you could put out one to sell houses. But they didn't do that. So they're coming to you for your help, and you're the problem solver. So you already know more than they do. And if you don't, then you just say, since I'm in acquisitions, let me ask my partner who runs the numbers. And your partner could be your cat or your dog. It doesn't even matter. As long as you give yourself the space to figure out things. So at this point, you have the information. You set up an appointment to go out and view the house with the seller. Um, Most investors at this point prefer to view the house without the seller. Like if you can get the keys to go view the house, then do that. Um, but a lot of times people are skeptical, so they'll set up an appointment for you to go walk through the house with them. Um, Set the appointment, go walk through the house. When you walk through the house, um, if you can do it with someone else, then like two of y'all go do it. And at this point, if you have two people, you play good cop, bad cop. Um, as you walk through the house, you know, one person will point out stuff, and um, and the other person will just be like, "Yeah, that's gonna need to be replaced." Um, you know, you just confer with each other. If it's just you, then you walk through the house. You take notes, but every little thing you see. If the vents have rust on them, then that whole HVAC unit is probably going to need to be replaced. And the standard for knowing needs to be replaced is Section 8. Just pretend you're going to Section 8 in a house. Section 8 has standards for houses, and I would just suggest looking at those standards. Walk through the house, make your notes, and there's a contract that I use. It's a one-page contract. I like one-page contracts because they're simple. They seem more simple. They're more understandable to the sellers, and yeah, it just makes it seem like it's not a really complicated deal. Although that one-page contract has everything in it that you need. An agent will have to have like a 7 to 14-page contract. I used to be an agent too, so it's much easier to wholesale. So if you already agreed on the price, then you'll just put their name in on the contract, put the price in on the contract, and have them sign it. Have 2 or 3 contracts and just have them sign both so that you have a couple of originals. The contract will give you 30 days to finish the deal, or else they can go to someone else. It also gives you an out, and the out is that once you get your contractor to view the house and to okay it for the company to buy it, then you can go through with the deal. If the contractor does not okay the house, then that's your out. That the house was not approved for your purchase. So the deal can be, you can cancel the deal that way. And that's your out. Usually have your out if you can't find a buyer for the house, which was my issue the first couple times I got houses under contract. It's just that I got really weird houses under contract. One house was a circle house, and it was just 2 levels of a circle, and nobody really wanted that. But I found another investor who found a lady who liked to buy weird houses, and the deal got done that way. So you get them to sign a contract, and then once you have them with the contract, that's when like your clock starts, and the hustle and the game starts. So at this point, you have to get your investor. At this point, most people who teach this would say, if you have a great deal, the buyers will come. Like you shouldn't have anxiety about this. But to me, that made no sense. Like there's definitely going to be anxiety because now I have this deal and I have to sell it. How do I sell it? Um, the best way to sell, especially starting off, is to go to the Section 8 office or the Section 8 website, and you just pull all the houses. It's usually an Excel sheet or some kind of chart. You pull all of the houses that are available for Section 8. And then you put it into your own database, your own Excel sheet. With that data, with that Section 8 stuff is going to have on there all of the landlords, in the county or that part of the city that is handling Section 8. It's going to be a lot, but this is going to take off a lot of pressure. You take all the landlords, put their names in, put their phone numbers in, their address in, and once you get a deal, you start calling them, you start emailing them, faxing them, whatever they desire, and you ask a few questions. You ask them, are they? You tell them that you have a deal that you're willing to sell. If they like it, they'll come look at it. And if they don't like it, then you ask them, like, what kind of deals are you interested in? And then you put that in your database. And by doing just that, like, you already start off with dozens of buyers, and that's the main anxiety point for most new wholesalers. They don't know who to sell to. So Philly is a big area. So the greater Philadelphia area is a big area. So if y'all can split that part up, then like you can get started even faster. Besides that, people will come out the woodwork and want to buy houses and stuff. So every time someone wants to buy a house or they sound interested, then you just add their name to the database, their name, phone number, what kind of houses they like to buy, what type of repairs they don't mind doing, the areas they like to invest, and stuff like that. You'll come up with different columns for stuff and different questions to ask them. So once you get that buyer, they'll walk through the house, just show them the stuff, and at the end of walking through the house, you have your clipboard and you have the contract already ready for them to sign. And when they sign it, you'll say, all right, I'm gonna get this to the closing attorney, and he'll be in touch with you for a closing date. And that's that. That's that for the seller and the buyer. Once you have both contracts, you'll take those contracts to your closing attorney. Finding a closing attorney is something you'll have to do too. That's something that you should pregame. It really doesn't matter who the closing attorney is, as long as they do double closings. And we can call it double closings. My mentor, the one who has the Deal You Later website, he says collapse closing. And the double closing is how I explained it to you. They call in the buyer, take the buyer's money, call in the seller, give the seller some of the buyer's money, and you get what's in between. A collapse closing is when it's the same exact theoretically, but two closings don't happen. The attorney just does the math a little differently, and he makes it so that there's one deal, and instead of 2 closings, it's just 1 closing where you just get the miscellaneous money that's left over. Collab closing is better because with a double closing, with a real official double closing, your name is in the paperwork. With a collapse closing, you don't have to be in the paperwork as owning the property for any amount of time. But I'll send y'all out something that you can give to the closing attorney to see if he or she agrees to do it that way. Yeah, so you get both contracts to the attorney. They'll set up a closing date. It could be within a few days. It could be a week or two. But at some point, traditionally, the seller and the buyer come in for separate appointments on the same day. Or the closing attorney can also do it by mail, where he'll send them out documents. They still like to have original signed stuff. And at closing, you can be there or not. If you built a rapport with these people and you just like to be like in person and shaking hands outside of COVID, then go to the closing meetings. In fact, it's a good idea to go to the closing meetings because since the attorney is getting paid to do this stuff with the closing costs, they are more likely to answer any questions that you have. So if you ever have any legal questions, the best time to ask them is during the closing appointments. Because if you ask them any other time, then they might want to just make an appointment with you and charge a consultation fee, which is like $50 an hour or something like that. I forgot how much it was, but attorney's time is expensive. So if you just have like 20 questions that you want to ask them, you can pay their consulting fee and just go in for an hour and ask them questions. But if they're doing the job and you ask them questions during the closing, they're likely to just answer your questions. And as time goes on, like questions will get more savvy, and you'll figure out ways to do deals that no one has thought of before. At the end of the closing, you sign all these contracts and stuff. The attorney will cut you a check, and the check will either have your name on it or to have your company's name on it. And then once the company's name on it, if it's all of y'all together, you'll figure out your own system for divvying up the money. When you divvy up the money, though, create a system to where, like if someone got a deal all to themselves, like all by themselves, and like no one else helped, then make it so that that person gets the bulk of it. Make it so that too that a certain percentage like just stays in the company account. Because even running businesses by myself, keeping a good like 20% of profits in just the company's account, it makes it so much easier just to run the company. Because you'll get ideas, you'll get new ideas for advertising, and you just know that you got to act quickly, and so you just got money in there that you can just buy the stuff and get it put out. Or there might be times where like y'all just don't feel like going out and putting up signs or passing out flyers. You can give $20 to some young boys around the way to walk up and down the street and put little postcard flyers on people's doors. And by the way, postcard flyers have always been like one of my go-tos. Um, I like to walk and I like to learn neighborhoods, and I learn neighborhoods by walking. So if I have a couple hours, I'll go and walk through a neighborhood and put postcard flyers on doors or on gates or whatever. It lets me learn the neighborhood. It lets me like scope out houses to see, to like tune my eye to repairs that need to be done and everything. And besides learning the neighborhood, like the physical houses of the neighborhood, it lets me learn the people of the neighborhood. So yeah, every once in a while you know get to talk to somebody, and they'll tell you something about a neighborhood that you didn't know. Any questions at this point?
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I'm moving around right now, so I have to switch to my phone.
It's all good.
No.
Any part that you didn't understand, or is there anything that you think is missing, or like do you have a question like how to get started, like the first steps?
Yeah, how do we get started with the first few steps?
All right, so the first step would be to the first step that I suggest doing is to um, go to the Section 8 website for the counties that you plan on working in and get the list um, of properties that are available for Section 8. What you're going to get from that list is the owners. Some counties have it already in Excel, which would just make it easy to put everything in the right order. But some have it on like a Microsoft Word chart, which you can put into Excel, which will make it easy too. And then some have it as just like a PDF, and they're not going to give you a spreadsheet for it. Um, in that case, it just makes it more. There's just a little more work that you have to do because you can type in names and numbers, or you can like copy and paste. But you do want to have it in a spreadsheet because it makes it easier down the line to sort and search for things. Um, and this is going to be your buyers list. Let me see if I can. I'll just make a note to send you a sample buyers list. This is going to be your buyers list. Once you have the buyers list, um, you know that once you start getting houses, like this is the first step to selling the house. This is the first, excuse me, the first your first stop for trying to unload the house. Call the people, send them emails, and when you talk to them, make sure there's a part of your buyers list that has like miscellaneous information, so that you can see what they prefer. Do they prefer emails? Do they prefer calls, text? Um, stuff like that. You just get their preference so that if they prefer emails, that makes things a lot easier. Because once you have a good buyers list who likes emails, when you get a house, you'll just make a flyer and then you'll just send it out, like do an email blast to your buyers list. and somebody's going to bite. Somebody's going to want it. Um, and yeah, so make that buyer's list first. Once you have your buyer's list, then you're going to start trying to get motivated sellers. The easiest way is the bandit signs. Um, Once you start doing the bandit signs, um, my strategy for bandit signs is, one, you have to get a map of the county or the city and a street map. Um, it's a lot easier if you get one that you can just like put on a wall somewhere. And then you'll mark the intersections where people funnel into. Sometimes you'll see like bandit signs just like randomly around neighborhoods, but to save money and to just be more efficient with it, certain neighborhoods funnel into certain intersections. Like there's no way for a person to get to their house unless they go through any of these three intersections. Those are the intersections that you want to put your bandit signs, because they're going to be seen. And once you do that, then I suggest doing the postcard flyers if you're comfortable with it and if the neighborhood is safe enough. There's been plenty of times where I've been passing out postcard flyers and like ladies come out of their house like, I know you packing, like I know you got a gun on you, because ain't nobody crazy enough to be walking through this neighborhood without a gun or some kind of weaponry. So yeah, just be careful. Just know that it should be a neighborhood that you're comfortable with passing out flyers from door to door, or just pay some 10-year-olds to do it, and they'll be happy to do it. So create your buyers list from section 8, and then start getting your motivated sellers. And while you wait for the motivated sellers to come in, you can start refining everything else that you need to do. What's the next question? Or any clarification that I need to make?
Are you gonna send us all the files and stuff? Like how do we stay in contact with you?
Oh, yeah, you can have my number.
Okay.
Let me see.
Also, what's the name of the because I know you said that we have to basically gonna be working like under a main branch, sort of. Do you know the name of it?
Like your company name?
Yeah.
All right, so the company name is whatever you do, whatever you want it to be. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to register an LLC with Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And different states call it different things. Like Georgia, it's the State Corporation Commission, I think it is, or that might be South Carolina. But if you just type in register an LLC.
Yeah, that was about right. That's what I had to do when I had my business in Georgia.
Okay, cool.
I think it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, I figured it was. Yeah, figure out a name. The name should be something that you think people would be comfortable with. And once you have the LLC, You'll need a bank account to go with it. So it's like LLC. You register the LLC, then you get a EIN, which is like the social security number for it, and then you get a bank account.
Okay. That's basically what I already had to do when I was when I started setting up my own business. So
Yeah. And yeah, like that's the only thing that you'll be like under. You'll be under your articles of incorporation and whatever plans that y'all, however y'all decide to like divvy up funds and stuff like that.
I
Yeah. Like yeah, if y'all have any like once y'all start, if you have any if you want any suggestions on how the divvying of funds should happen, then let me know and I'll give you some suggestions.
okay.
But yeah, the most important thing is just getting off the fence. I think that's what
Corey. Oh, no, not Corey. Derek? Is that your name? Is Derek?
my name,
Yeah.
Brandon. People,
Brandon.
yeah, people tend to call me Derek because of my last name. They associate Jeter with Derek Jeter, but
Oh yeah. I think I was on the
might be
same thing.
cousin.
My grandma my grandmother is looking to. She wants to move, so she was looking to see if someone could find a triplex for her. Yeah, because I was telling her that I was gonna have this meeting with you,
Hmm.
and she's looking to she wants to move into get a triplex for for the family. If you have any properties or uh, have anything,
Is this up around Philly?
she wants it to be around Philly, Philly or near suburban counties, but not too far into the city because it gets more and more expensive towards the city.
Yeah. My godmother is in real estate in around Philly, so I can ask her if she has any triplex deals going on. She wants to buy the triplex, or she wants to like.
She wants, I think she wants to most likely do a mortgage on it.
Okay.
But yeah, we can be in contact with that because she wants to move and then she wants to retire.
Got you. All right. Yeah. My godmom, she knows a lot of brokers and owners, and she gets uh, people to rent out things. My homie Steve up there, he sells stuff. He still wholesales whatever he can get his hands on. So I'll ask them, and if they have something, I'll just send them your way. What's your phone number?
215 588. Huh?
588.
Across the street. Is that mom's car outside? Oh, I don't know. It'd be car. 215 588 7883.
7883.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, sis. I'll text you. I'll take it out. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I sent you the number. We can talk about that, and um, also, I mean, I'm looking to get started within actually maybe next week. Yeah, next week. So you said do the LLC, um, get the bank account, and then go to the um Section 8 website.
Yeah, start your buyers list.
I get my buyer's list.
And then start getting those motivated sellers in.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be more information to it, but it's just like it's very easy to do. I'm
Yeah,
probably gonna create like a step-by-step process only so that because I know the first few rounds is gonna be like a little bit shaky. But if I do find a deal, or um, could I be able to call you to like help me like fully walk through it correctly?
yeah, yeah. I will say, like I like sharing information, but anybody else would charge out like $3,000 for this.
That's true. I know that for a fact. That's true.
When I first got started, I had my youth pastor at my church up in Philly. Even though I was in Alabama, he sent me $1,000, and I told him that I would give him 10% of every deal that I made, plus $200 or something like that, for like the next 10 deals or something like that.
I
And
mean, for the first couple of deals, I don't mind sharing some of the profit with you because it's more about the learning process.
well,
Like me, I try to do it by myself.
well, I'm not so concerned with getting profit. I'll probably be more like more concerned with like getting y'all testimonials.
Okay.
'Cause
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. You're building a
after I teach.
course. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, just shoot me a text or give me a shout if anything any questions or anything come up. And
Okay. Corey, text me his number.
Copy.
all right. Any other questions before we bounce?
No, that's it.
Cool.
Wait, are we gonna have like weekly, monthly meetings? Yes.
We can.
Just to be clear? Yeah. Wait on this thing.
Who you hit for that, bitch?
Yo, did you fall? All right. I'm gonna go eat breakfast. I know it's late. I wake up late, so.
They keep pissing at me.
All right, and I'll send y'all the link for the video.
Okay.
Nope, I'm good.
Cool. All right, I'll be in touch.
All right, thanks a lot, brother.
No problem.
Thank you.